guys?
Hey guys.
Man, I always have issues admitting Superfizz in. It's only Superfizz. I think, have we had issues? I think, Michael, we had issues once. That was it. It's like every time for Superfizz. Grab a Coke. Hold up. Michael, JK, and I, and the rest of the further due diligence team had a great conversation on that, which is good. That's progress. We lasted an hour and a half, but I was loving every minute.
Yeah, that was a long one. Quite honestly.
Well, you know.
But like it raised a lot of questions though, right? Like it raised a lot of fundamental questions.
Correct. Yeah, so the last 30 minutes was all about fundamental questions. Think so?
I think for me, from my point of view, it's just the question that always comes back to what is the goal and the values that we want to achieve out of this. And while like we have a general sense, I don't think it's like written in stone. Therefore, we don't have anything to reference to coming back to it every single time to say, hey, does whatever we do fit that value?
Well, we do have the mission statement on the website, right? That we agreed on and we came to agreements on early on, right?
Oh.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm joking. I'm with you, Michael. But that was literally the conversation. I am not for starting from scratch, but that last 30 minutes there were people who wanted to start from scratch.
What am I missing?
We had a nice long hour and a half call for the further due diligence. We're just about done doing the reevaluations, and we'll come present the ones that we suggest changes for. Probably at the next meeting, because I think we're going to have to get one more further due diligence meeting over to, I think it's 3 columns left to finish that. And then about 30 minutes of that further due diligence meeting was discussing some of the fundamentals of the EDDC.
With the result being?
Well, with the result being, I think we need to bring back attention, and there are members who have joined later versus earlier. So, we had a discussion about the mission statement, for example, and maybe not everyone knows where to find the mission statement. So, directing towards that. And then some of the other big one that was brought up fundamentally was, okay, these staking pools aren't always comparable effectively. They're doing two different things to be comparable, and the rating system we have now is just too it's too simplistic, or we're trying to fit. It's really trying to fit all the state rules within one box. My response to that was, I totally hear where you're coming from, and it's not that I don't disagree, but if we allow. I think for now, we still had some of the new answers to get through. Is that correct? I know that's correct. So we should pull up the latest rating sheet and get through those last, I think it's last one or two answers.
Michael, are you able to pull up that rating sheet? I know that I usually do it. I don't mind doing it. I just want to make sure I'm not a single point of failure. Sometimes I worry that if I don't make it, that won't be available.
Yeah, let me pull the link up. Is that the one in the further due diligence or the general chat?
General due diligence.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay.
It's not posted.
We want Fizz's color-coded vetting document.
Yeah, I have it listed as EDDC pooled vetting. Comments in the last week by Philip.
Okay.
I can go ahead and open it and just make sure that you have access to it if you want.
I'm just making sure. I didn't know if it was one of the pinned messages, so I'm just kind of finding the actual link.
I'm going to post the correct one in the chat just so we can bookmark it and you won't have to spend an hour digging through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that you have full edit access. I just want to be sure that. I always have this fear of like one person dropping out and taking critical stuff with them, and I'm not dropping out, don't get me wrong, but like if I'm gone for a week or something.
Oh, it happens, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, we actually got through all these, right? So
Looks like
We do need to review staking facilities because they had an answer merge, but that is the last thing on this document, and then it's whatever's next.
awesome. So they had an answer merge. So I guess we can go through staking facilities.
Madison, can you give me co-host rights?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. You're up.
Thank you, sir. Okay, are we all able to see?
Yep.
Oh, crap, it
Yep.
doesn't show on the stream, though. Hang on 1 second.
And you guys can see a lot of us have added like the justification for why this answer is true or false and the comments for each answer now. Like the evidence. But let's hop over to staking facilities.
Okay, staking facilities. Yes. Okay.
And do you mind just like maximizing that? Yep, perfect. So do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? Lido is trying to cover insurance via its treasury. If we go to the overarching framework or how we've utilized it in the past, do you mind just going to that little the D1? Yep.
Oh,
Just
yep,
just
gotcha.
hovering over. Yep. Just hovering over. Oh, perfect. Yeah, E1. Yep. So green, fully insured, partially insured, no insurance. So, look, I think if we gave Lido itself a yellow, and in the fact that we're doing this sort of built into protocol, Rocket Pool is also a yellow. This would also be a yellow for staking facilities. Do people agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree.
Awesome. And then who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? Wolfgang Albrecht, co-founder, CEO, bachelor's media informatics, former front-end dev, Though of You GmbH. Julius Schmidt, co-founder, CFO, bachelor's European studies, chair, proof of stake working group, European Blockchain Association, former trainee, Inter-T GmbH. Florian List, co-founder, CTO, Masters Information Systems, former entrepreneurial projects. Gary Morris, infrastructure lead, bachelor's Computer Network Technology, former front-end dev. David Rugendijk, founder and senior developer with over 20 years experience. James Slazas. Am I doing this right?
Yeah, I'm just I didn't realize there was like so many. Okay, there we go. Now it looks like we're getting full.
So where was I? Florian. Basically, they just list their names, and what they study.
I'm slightly confused because I heard you list Dave Rugendijk in. Was that it?
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to find.
I'm looking. It's because this is. I'm looking at the reason why I listed that. Hold on.
That just confused me. I'm not. I just. It may be my misunderstanding, but I'm not aware of.
So I'm looking at. So this is 9, right? We're looking at 9, right? Yeah, staking facilities is 9. It's interesting because. Oh,
I think Dave is on the next row 10, and maybe you read one
That's
further.
probably-
Is that possible?
Yep, that is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I apologize for that, guys.
No, it was very interesting. I was like, oh, that's a really interesting partnership. I just didn't.
So I'm just gonna go. I think Gary Morris, infrastructure lead, bachelor's, computer network technology, former systems administrator, Tynet, core team, BlockNet. Louis Bauer, bachelor's technology and management, former web dev, head of business. Robert Dorsback, marketing communications, master's consumer affairs, former biz dev and innovation analyst, creative doc, partner management, Audi business innovation. Jeff Madgett, blockchain node engineer, bachelor's financial mathematics, former OSP systems and customer solutions engineer, integration strategy and support. Lars Froelich, software engineer, working student, bachelor's computer science. All right.
It's just interesting that we're in such different circles because I don't know these people, and they're obviously legitimate, but I don't know any of them.
I know none of them. And
I could help out on that front.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, JK.
They've been one of the earlier validator groups on proof of stake protocols, and they've been extremely one of the most competent and consistent ones. Never had any slashing events. They're always the ones that always upgrade correctly. Always very vocal on how to do what the best practices are. I could definitely attest for their competency of the team.
Interesting. So are they are they a multi-staking facility? Like they're not Ethereum centric? Would that be a fair understanding? I'm just curious because I don't know them. Like are they cryptocurrency global?
Yeah. So most of their team members are based in Germany. And yes, they are operating validators on various networks, sort of similar to what we're doing.
Okay.
Awesome. I would put that as green then, with JK, especially with JK's further clarification.
Yeah, in my mind, competency-wise, they would be up at par with like Course One, Certus One, like these sort of names. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. So then we go over to who is invested in your business. Staking facilities, bootstrap and self-funded. We were putting that as green, and then we'll obviously, I'm the one who's in charge of it. I will be double checking if they are bootstrapped or self-funded. In the further due diligence, how much are you charging for your staking services? 10%, 5% go into the treasury, 5% to node operators. Based on the precedent of how we've handled this question, I would put this as a green. Awesome. So this is great. Now we are through the new additions. And then we can move these now from, obviously they're still going to be examined within the further due diligence. We can definitely take the initial analysis and put that on the website as well.
Yeah, great work getting us through all of that, Madison. Who knew it would take months?
And what is our... You said we're thinking maybe next meeting to have the further due diligence done for website?
Yeah, so we're about 3/4 done with the further due diligence analysis. Chris didn't show up to the meeting, so that affected. Effectively, how we're doing this is each one of us has taken one or two columns, and we're checking the validity of those answers, and then coming back and basically saying this is why it's true or this is why it's not true. And then talking about that framework, and then Chris not showing up just caused us to miss, I believe it was 2 categories, then we didn't get to 1 because we ran out of time.
Okay. This is exciting. We're getting so close.
We're very close.
And then we could pivot.
Do it all over again.
Mm-hmm. And then so it's, and by the way, for those who are interested, some people included their reasoning, like backing up, actually in this color-coded document about why it's true and why it's not true. They present the evidence. They could have done maybe a better job of saying this is why it's true, but it's there.
Awesome.
And I got to add mine, and I haven't added mine in yet because I didn't have a separate sheet. Slick, any updates on the website?
No, I mean, we're kind of in a holding pattern until we get the further due diligence completed. One thing I'd like to explore, this has been, we'll see how well it goes over, but I would really like to do, for the sake of the website, I know we're going to have everything very well organized and drawn out. So there's not the necessity for this suggestion is low. I mean, it's definitely not required. But I think there would be value in, after we've gotten all of the formal information published, to have a video recording of formally of some sort of group, however we want to formulate it, going through and just giving, this is why we actually, I know we'll have the cut of us giving the ratings, but I think there's something that just surmise our opinion of it, and maybe just sort of welcome maybe improvements if it's there, or advocate why one would be better over the other. I think there's what I hate to see. I think maybe the driver for this is everything to be published and then the site sort of lay static. So I'd like some continual updates on making sure that we're feeding the machine a little bit.
I think that's a great point. My suggestion for that would be to have quarterly reviews of the content.
Yeah.
To effectively make sure it's fresh. And so, for quarterly reviews, we'd have to probably start about 4 weeks or maybe 2 to 4 weeks before the end of the quarter and start reviewing internally in order to have that quarterly review out. But that would be my suggestion for how to approach that.
Sounds reasonable.
Michael, I'm looking at the website now. I just want to make sure, because I'll post it in the channel too, because that was my bad for not posting it somewhere. But having a disclaimer basically saying, by no means is this advice of which staking pool to use, and I can write out the exact copy, I think would go a long way. This is for informational purposes only, effectively.
I apologize, let me go on there now. I thought there was one up there. Are we just looking to change the verbiage or extend it?
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and this is why this is my bad. I will add the exact verbiage that I think would make the most sense to have, in addition to the verbiage you have now in that notice.
Okay.
That, in my opinion, protects us a little bit more legally.
Okay.
Not that I think it's going to be an issue, but it's just a little bit more, legal jargon.
Yep. All for it. Okay. I will look out for that, and then we can update that real quick.
Awesome. And then, so I think now we'll have the further due diligence next week coming to present. So far, there hasn't been any changes. There's a couple changes from my personal, the one that we have, one of the categories we haven't gone to, but they're pretty small here and there. I think we should take some time to discuss, okay, all the information is going to be on the website within the next, let's call it 2 to 3 weeks, right? At that point, how do we want to bring attention to the work that we've done and to exhibit that work?
So that is definitely part of the driver with this, because I think it should be, I'm looking at like an arm of sort of eStaker, even though it's its own entity, in the sense that I think we'll get a marketing push from, and I don't want to speak for Superfizz here, but I think we'll get some sort of marketing push during State of the Stakes and community updates. So we'll be tapping into that audience. I would argue, to your point, Madison, about the quarterly reviews, to almost make those monthly, to create a form of stickiness for the site, if not just to say, I think there's going to be enough updates within the industry that a month is a good time period. Doesn't have to be a video, but there should be some sort of, maybe even a monthly blog post, just to say, even if there aren't updates, just to say there's no updates, and kind of go from there, just to say that we're keeping a finger on the pulse of these staking pools. But there should be some sort of update or media blast on the site, just like we would anything else, like eStaker or any other community like that. We should be kind of driving for that. I think that's just for my little 2 cents on this from a site perspective.
I don't want to win this just because I'm bringing it up, but I worry that if we are constantly churning and reiterating on the same data, then it's going to limit the capacity to broaden our horizons. Just my thought.
How do you mean? Sorry, not to sound dense.
Well, so if we do quarterly reviews, so Madison was saying, we should begin 4 weeks out for quarterly to get all of them done. If we switch that to monthly, then we're essentially constantly reviewing the same data,
I see what you're saying.
which is important that it be reviewed. But what I would hope to avoid is that our heads are so down in this that we miss the ability to broaden and so I have other ideas about things that I think would be helpful for due diligence. Right now I'm talking so much about the open source, decentralized, and trustless. And so if our heads are so down exactly where we are, it might prevent us from considering other goals.
Okay. Yep, that's fair.
That's just a thought. I don't, maybe it needs to be a mix between quarterly and monthly, just to.
Yeah, I think the takeaway there for me is just to give the platform some form of life where there's, some sort of reason for people to return to.
Yes.
Just one thing. I have asked various pools to fill out, and there's new pools that have filled out like the further due diligence form. So I think it'd be fair just to mention that they will also just be on the website, but it's just that we're just going through round 1 of it, just in case that these pools will be asking questions about like, they've spent time to fill out the form, but they don't see themselves on this first iteration. I just think it's good to put a disclaimer on that front as well.
I think, I 100% agree, JK. And that'll also, by the way, incoming new pools that we have to evaluate will also take time because we obviously want to get to them and add that to the list. Getting back to, ways that we can grow, obviously anything that the ETH Staker community can do, whether it be on the website or in the videos that you guys create or in the Discord, that'd be huge. I also think that we should actually write a Medium post as the EDDC, post that and share it, and effectively outlining why we did what we did. This is where you can find the information. Very open to feedback from the community. Always looking for people to contribute.
Great. This is more down the road, but is there an opportunity? I don't know what that would look like, but is there an opportunity for EDDC to host some sort of like event specific to these things, maybe to educate newcomers into the scene or something like that?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Having like an open call where the community can come ask us questions about our process or how we've approached it or whatever. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, we can
100% agree with that.
Awesome.
An AMA, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And so ideally, we would end up with representatives from staking pools who can also help us improve their rating.
Yes.
To the extent that we're not trying to be judgmental, just fact-based, that they can help us improve those ratings.
Absolutely.
One thing that we brought up during sort of the other further due diligence call was actually to that point, Superfizz, that it might be fair to bring the staking pools, the operators, and like ask for the questions or clarify some points, because the forum sometimes answers, we've been going back and forth on some of the answers on the legitimacy or whether like how they would fit in, and it would clear a lot of things up if we actually talk to the pool operators. So to pivot back to the previous screen, and JK, your hard stop is now, I believe. Yep. Sorry, guys.
See ya.
No, it was great seeing you today. We should probably revisit the original questions and make sure that we have an extremely good rubric for what is red, green, and yellow, because while internally we're all impartial, when we are speaking directly with a pool operator who has a vested interest in their rating being higher, we need to be able to say, this is the rubric and this is how we were scored. If you're different, then so I do think revisiting those questions at some point would be important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also on this point, I think I will make a suggestion for at least one question to split it up or to make it more clear regarding the staking setup, because we are asking 3 questions, but we are mostly considering just who's operating the node, basically. And that does not take into account the other 2 parts of the question. And another point is about, funny enough, you went over staking facilities today, and I thought that maybe we should take out the Lido providers because they're not actually offering a service directly to the user. And there's no way that the user directly can stake with them. So although it is nice that we know that, for example, their staking setup is in a certain way, that doesn't really have an impact on the actual end user, right? Because they can't choose with Lido who's operating the nodes. And that is true for Lido for 2 staking providers in our sheet right now.
Except for the ones who are providing both options, which.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think that's an awesome and excellent idea.
I mean, staking facilities is just offering through Lido, and so it's not really a service that they offer to the end user by themselves, but rather through Lido. And since we have Lido on there, might be an idea to just list them on there or have just a link on the Lido page. So, yeah. But this would also mean if we just use one, if we basically look at one staking provider which operates under Lido, that we should also, I mean, if we have one there, then we should actually take a look at all of them, and they're 11 or so, so that would be quite a lot of work. Just a few thoughts. Maybe I should write it down.
I don't know if this is in the same vein, so I apologize. I don't mean to direct, but what are we? How are we tackling going forward services like? And this, I don't know if this goes outside the scope of the committee, but services like Mew that allow you to stake through their platform, but it uses, I think, Staked Us, so they're just white labeling other platforms. How do we help people navigate that in terms of just being educated in where it's going and how things work? Where it's a staking pool service, but it's not really their platform.
So my opinion on this is I think we've done the work, and I think the transparency is helpful and the information is helpful. What I think would be great is if we can add addendums or add asterisks for the sort of clarifications that Phil and Michael, you guys just brought up, that really explain to people you're not actually, this is not where you're actually staking, for example. What do you think about that, Phil?
Yeah, I think that would be an option, or to list all the staking providers which operate the Lido, for example, on their page. I have a link there. So that they are not listed separately, because they're actually they're not offering a service to the end user, or not directly. And another idea would be to, that's also something that I should write down as a suggestion in the Discord, would be to categorize all these staking providers which we have right now, because we have pools which have a totally different architecture and target audience, because a pool, you don't need to have 32 ether. Then we have all those who are 32 plus, which run a node for you, which might be custodial or non-custodial. And maybe in future, there might be other options as well. And maybe also maybe a category for institutions or high net worth individuals, because they also have different requirements. So it is more, or it's easier for end users to digest the information which is on the website. That would just be an idea how we present our findings.
It's a good route too. So let's just have a quick kind of poll vote or straw vote. You know, are we for? Actually, you know, Phil, it would be great if you could explain these options, because my issue is we only have 4 people here. Put them in the Discord and then offer a vote kind of mechanism that way, because I think we'll get a little bit more representative voice. Do you agree with that?
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. You know, any other, you know, the original topic was about growth or attention bringing, which is, it's coming up. I want to make sure, you know, the list of ideas that we have so far is obviously being plugged by e-stakers in videos and in the Discord channels, a Medium post that I'll be happy to write the draft for, and I will share with everyone before that goes out. That will go alongside of the announcement of, hey, we're live. And then the third one being an AMA that we host shortly after going live, maybe the next week or so, where people can come in and ask us whatever questions they might have. Are there any other ideas? I've written all these down.
I think we just frame that AMA as a EDDC CC, EDDC community call, and just allow the AMA at the end. But then what we do is maybe every week we invite a staking pool provider, we interview them, get their take on it, open it up to whomever's in the audience to ask questions, and post it as a call. That might solve a lot of issues and then give us some stickiness too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. If there's nothing else, I said we adjourn early. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.